Good morning, friends. Mr. Spitzer here. I wanted to walk you through how our fantasy unit is going to look, and today is day one of our fantasy unit. So, on Friday, we all chose a fantasy book. Some of you chose paper copies, some of you chose fantasy books on Learning Ally. I myself chose a paper copy, The Shadow of What Was Lost. Mine's a pretty big book, but I'm excited to get to work with you for this. So, first thing, you have your book and you're logging into Google Classroom. So each day, what you're going to do is you're going to set your timer, you're going to get your book ready, and you're going to open up the lesson and the Google Forms. So the lesson today, lesson 1, it says the teaching point is that fantasy readers know to read closely at the start of a book, asking what kind of place is this? Fantasy readers look for clues about the setting and the magic elements in particular, using the covers, blurbs, and details from the beginning of the story for their research. So what I like to do is I put some resources for you, either a video to help you via YouTube or some other videos that I create to help you. So this is here. I'm not going to watch this, but this is a model of the graphic organizer that to help you with kind of the lesson today. So the lesson today is talking about the setting, where the story takes place. And I know that fantasy deals a lot with magic, kind of fictional things, maybe talking animals, superpowers. So sometimes it's hard to understand the setting of a made-up world. So that is our focus today. When I go over to the next thing, which is the Google form, that is actually like your work for the day, what you'll be required to do. So like I said, I already set up my timer. Everyone's going to read for 30 minutes per day, just like we used to in class with remote learning for this fantasy unit. You're going to read for 30 minutes, and I'm going to read too for 30 minutes every day. I'll read longer, but 30 minutes is the minimum. So when you get to the fantasy unit lessons and what's going to be asked of you, after you read, you're going to fill out this form. So I filled out my name, what is the title of the book, how many pages did you read today? So I only read from pages 1 to 15 in 30 minutes because I was doing my work alongside of that, but you're going to fill out how many pages you read for that day. The first question talks about looking at the cover. What does it tell you about the setting? So I know that the setting is where the story takes place. The cover of my book, what does it talk about the setting, or what does it tell me about the setting? So you can see here that this story is kind of taking place, it looks like alongside of a hill maybe. It's grassy. There's a large building here at the top with what looks like guards. It could be medieval because they have bow and arrows and swords and staffs. So kind of my inferences that I'm making here, I said that it looks like there's a small group of people on a grassy hill. So where's the story taking place? Maybe it starts on a grassy hill. There's a large tower to the left. It could be medieval times. They have spears and swords, reminding me that it's not modern times. So again, you're making inferences just based on the clues that you get from the cover. If you are using Learning Ally, there are still covers when you download the book. So just make sure to look in your book library if you're using Learning Ally for the cover. Perfect, answered that question, and I was specific as possible. So I'm going to go down to the next one. It says, look at the cover. How can you tell this book is fantasy? Is there magic or superpowers or talking animals? Now, my book is a little different than most of your books, and sometimes we have to challenge ourselves to make guesses based on the clues because the clues aren't as obvious. So in my story, there's not a talking animal right on the cover. There's not someone using superpowers or with glowing eyes. So I have to make inferences and I have to just make guesses based on the clues here. So the guesses that I said that nothing stuck out right away to make it definitely fantasy. I know fantasy has magic and superpowers and maybe talking animals. I said that there was the man holding the staff here, And that reminds me of magic, and I know that magic is part of the genre fantasy. That was the only inference that I made, and that's okay. I was trying to be as specific as possible based on the clues that I was given. The next part says read the first few pages or paragraphs. What is the setting of your book, where your book takes place? Be as specific as possible. So, although I guessed what the setting was based on the cover, it's important for me to dive right in my book. Now, I already spent 30 minutes reading my book, so I already figured out the setting, and the setting changes. So, it's important to list all the settings that you can recall as you're reading. So, I answered the question and I said that the setting is of a telling of a huge storm with waves crashing and spraying water. I know the setting is close to water. I used text evidence and I quoted something that told me this. If you want to challenge yourself, please find a line in the story that tells you the setting and put it in quotes and include the page number. The last is a challenge question. So sometimes the last question on these forms is going to be more difficult. Just do your best. That's all I ask of you. So today's challenge question, it says after reading for 30 minutes, make a prediction. What do you think will happen in your story? And what are your wonderings? And I said, I'm already wondering what magical powers that the augurs have. I'm wondering how the main character fits with this other character and the mysterious boy to the west. And I'm also trying to figure out if Tal has any superpowers. So I filled this all in. What I'm going to do is I submitted it at the bottom. You can see I was the first person to have it done because I haven't posted it yet. And after you submit your form, you are done for the day. Each day, you'll be required to read for 30 minutes, to look at the example lesson document and find out the purpose for the day, and then to fill out your Google Forms. I will be making a video every day doing the work alongside you so I can model what we're doing and give you an idea of what an example work looks like so that I can talk through it with you. If you have any questions about this lesson today about setting and the genre of fantasy, my office hours are from 10 to 11. I'm using Zoom, but pretty soon we're going to start using something different. So I will reach out to you or your parents to talk to you about future office hours. I hope everyone has a great Monday, day 1 of Fantasy Unit, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye.